Hidden behind the parking deck in many tall buildings, you will find the final resting place of many celebrities.
It's amazing to think about how many people may park here, walk around here, and never realize they're right near the final resting place of all these famous celebrities. You're going to be surprised at all the people we find in there. We cordially invite you to come along for the adventure.
Come along.
See the parking deck there to your right? Literally right behind it is the Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park and Mortuary. First thing you'll notice is just how small the cemetery is to have so many people buried here.
We walked over and the first grave we noticed was Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, he's from Grumpy Old Men with Walter Matthau, who's also buried in this cemetery. Simply says Jack Lemmon Inn. Right beside Jack Lemmon is Carol O'Connor, who played Archie Bunker on the TV show All in the Family. Also a star on In the Heat of the Night and Mad About You. TV Guide named him the 38th greatest TV star of all time. Carol O'Connor. August 2nd, 1924, June 21st, 2001. Then Billy Wilder. I'm a writer, but then nobody's perfect. Over here, we got Columbo himself, Peter Falk. September 16th, 1927, June 23rd, 2011. I'm not here, I'm home with Shara. Columbo is probably my dad's favorite detective series that we watched a lot growing up. Big fan of Columbo, big fan of Peter Falk. Awesome job he did as Detective Columbo.
Next is I Can't Get No Respect.
That's right, Rodney Dangerfield. I can't get no respect. And he put a little humor on his, or somebody did, maybe he asked for it. Right there, it says, "There goes the neighborhood." Rodney Dangerfield, the little humor upon death. A lot of roses. They're really beautiful out here. Look at the roses. It's over there at Peter Falk's grave and around it.
Such an amazing variety.
Yeah, it really is. Here we got Farrah Fawcett. Got some fresh roses there also. Farrah Fawcett's final resting place, and next to her is Merv Griffin. After these messages, I'll be right back, of course, everybody knows that, and his now says, "I will not be right back after this message." July 6, 1925 through August 12th, 2007.
Of course, Merv Griffith, using his wife's idea, created the TV show Jeopardy and wrote the theme song, which he earned around $80 million worth of royalties over the years. The next gravestone that we came upon is Jack Lemmon's partner in crime.
Yeah, it's Walter Matthau, who was with him in many movies, including, of course, Grumpy Old Men. And his is right here. Walter Matthau, October 1st, 1920 through July 1st, 2000. And Carol Matthau, September 24 through July 21st, 2003. And then right next to Walter Matthau and his wife is George C. Scott. It's an unmarked grave right here. George C. Scott played Scrooge in the best adaptation of A Christmas Carol. It's one of those movies that we watched growing up every year at Christmas time. George C. Scott did an incredible job in that role. Of course, he's also known for his role in the movie Patton, where he played General Patton.
We are moving out of this area now.
And we're gonna walk right over here and check out the middle area here of the cemetery. And the first notable grave over here is Carl Dean Wilson of the Beach Boys. December 21st, 1946 through February 6th, 1998. The world is a far lesser place without you. He's the younger brother of Brian and Dennis Wilson, original member of the Beach Boys.
To the left of him is Paul Gleason, who played the bumbling police chief in Die Hard.
Up next is Donna Reed's grave. Donna Reed Asmus, 1921 to 1986. She, of course, played Mary Hatch Bailey in the absolute wonderful Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. American Film Institute calls it one of the 100 best American films ever made, and of course, the best Christmas movie ever made, in my opinion. She was also in a bunch of other movies and TV shows. MGM changed her name, actually, to Donna Reed. And she never really cared for the name.
Marilyn Monroe, who was born Norma Jean Normanson, is right here, known as the Blonde Bombshell.
There's Marilyn Monroe. You can see all these kiss marks that fans leave all over the grave. And the story goes that the plaque has to be replaced. I don't know how often, but it has to be replaced because the kiss marks cause oxidation and cause the plaque to get ruined.
Now for a couple of famous quotes from Marilyn Monroe. I am not interested in money. I just want to be wonderful. Here's another one. I restore myself when I'm alone.
Used to be that Joe DiMaggio was a famous baseball player of the time, and they were actually married. He was married to Marilyn Monroe, I think, for like a year, but he still sent flowers to her grave 3 times a week. His original order stated 6 fresh long-stemmed red roses 3 times a week forever. For the next 20 years, roses were delivered from Joe DiMaggio to her gravesite. Now, another interesting story is right above Marilyn Monroe, the grave of Richard F. Poncher. Who is Richard F. Poncher, you might ask? Well, he wasn't really well known. But he had a final wish. He told his wife he wanted to be buried upside down above Marilyn Monroe. And the story goes that that's exactly what happened. Later on, they thought about selling this grave because his wife, who was still alive, had run out of money. She put it up for sale for $4.5 million, but there were no takers, although it did almost sell. And then, to the left of Marilyn Monroe, of course, Hugh Hefner. He bought that plot, even though apparently they never even met in real life, and she probably wouldn't appreciate him being there since he kind of took advantage of her to start his magazine without her permission. It almost ruined her career, but he has ended up right beside her anyway. And then eventually, Richard Poncher's wife, Elizabeth Elsie, died and took up the spot next to him.
So here we have a gorgeous little bench that's made out of stone, and it says, in remembrance of Marilyn Monroe from her many fans. How awesome is that? Up next is funny man Don Knotts.
Yeah, this guy's hilarious. Of course, he played Barney Fife on the TV show The Andy Griffith Show. Don Knotts got 5 Emmy Awards for his role as Barney Fife. He's considered number 27 of 50 greatest TV stars of all time. Mr. Don Knotts, and they've done a beautiful job here setting this up and showing a lot of his characters. Of course, there he is as Barney Fife. Various other characters that he's played throughout his life. Don Knotts. It says on there, he saw the poignancy in people's pride and pain and turned it into something hilarious and endearing. 1924 through 2006. He also, of course, played Ralph Furley on Three's Company.
Up next is a sanctuary of love.
This is where we're going to find Dean Martin. Dean Martin was a member of the Rat Pack, along with Frank Sinatra, known as the King of Cool. And what do we see here? More kisses. Not quite as many, of course, as Marilyn Monroe. He hosted the Dean Martin Show. Some of his hits, of course, include Everybody Loves Somebody, Ain't That a Kick in the Head, Memories Are Made of These, and many, many others. Dean Martin died on Christmas Day, 1995, June 7th, 1917, to December 25th, 1995. Everybody loves somebody sometime. Mr. Dean Martin, the King of Cool.
This one was a little bit more difficult to find, but we were able to find it.
This is Frank Zappa, who was, of course, a musician, a rock musician, and his grave is unmarked, so that makes it a little bit tricky. So what you really need to do is if you come in the entranceway over here, there it is, and come about halfway down between there and the buildings, then that is where you need to cut off to the side and look underneath this large tree right here, and over here beside a grave of Lou Ayres. Right beside Lou Ayres, and then to the left of Christopher Denny Zeismer is where you will find Frank Zappa's spot. Of course, you can see someone has left some sort of flower there. Bamboo, it looks like, as Heather says. And over here underneath the tree, a little bit in front of the bench, we got Jim Backus, who played Thurston Howell III on the TV show Gilligan's Island. Darling Husband, February 25th, 1913, through July 3rd, 1989. And Henny Backus, cherished wife, is also here. March 21st, 1911, December 9th, 2004.
Here is the unmarked grave of Roy Orbison. He's number 13 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of 100 greatest singers of all time. His wife Barbara is buried to the right of him, also in an unmarked grave. Okay, it's getting dark now, so it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, what an amazing little cemetery. I feel like we could stay here 2 or 3 more hours and find another 12, 15 graves. Just an incredible place. Really beautifully, well kept up, hidden behind buildings and parking decks. Pretty wild. That's where you find some of the biggest celebrities of all time buried. Y'all, be sure to hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you can come along with us on future adventures.
Come along.